and welcome back to the Real God for Real People podcast. I'm your host, Shadi Shad. I'm so excited about talking through this week about how sometimes we have introverts and extroverts that we meet in life and we meet in ministry. And sometimes some of that introverted or extroverted tendencies come from upbringing. Sometimes it comes from comfort. And for some of us, we really learn to shift for the sake of either ministry or career life in order to reach people. And we might be naturally an introvert, but we turn on the extroverted tendencies and the charm for the sake of other people. So I have my host Morgana jumping in with me, and I can't wait to talk about it more. Stay tuned. All right, and welcome to Real God for Real People. This Real God, the number 4, Real People. I got my girl Morgana. This is your host Shadi Shad, and just happy to talk through what it means to be an introvert in an extroverted world, and how do we work through that at times, because it's tricky. Morgana, you want to say something to the people?
Hey guys, so happy to be here with you all and just happy to get into these topics because they sound deep. So we're excited to just be on the pod and talk about it.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. All right, cool. So as we break down what it means to be an introvert in a very extroverted world, sometimes we don't call them introverts. We just say they might be into hurt, according to a preacher man that I heard a while back. Not my idea, but to be able to break that down some more, right? Defining introvert, what we found was an introvert is a person that naturally doesn't reveal their thoughts or their feelings openly or readily. And so it's more that's not their natural tendency. And then Morgana, you got something for us for extrovert,
right? Yeah, so as far as the extroverts go, that would be me. But there are people who are extroverts are typically outgoing, have high self-esteem, are energized by being around other people. They're also socially confident and enjoy being in large social gatherings or public speaking.
That's probably me. That's the only one. That's the only one. We're gonna be doing a lot of laughing.
Well, they also tend to be sociable and friendly too. So I feel like I'll just say this, just knowing that I am an extrovert somewhat. I feel like I was more of this when I was younger, but as you get older and you're among different crowds and things like that, it gets a little different. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I also wonder too if somehow we may start in a specific spot at a young age, and then as you experience more life, as time goes on, if you somewhat become a blend of the two, right? Like some of them I can see I'm probably sociable and friendly, but I know people who are way more sociable and friendly than me, right? Or, hey, I may not reveal everything in my head, but I probably am an open book unless folks ask the right questions. But I wonder too how that just goes over time, whether it's just a start or a finish or what. But what you think?
Yeah, I was gonna say I've met a lot of people actually that are actually my baby sister is this a lot. She is more quiet around crowds, but when she is like with us, her sisters, who she's comfortable with, like her close friends, she is like extreme extrovert, and I'm like, girl, what? So it just like I see. It is a blend. So a lot of times I'm like, are you really an introvert? Because you're extremely an extrovert, like when you're with us, and your friends and stuff. And I'm talking about full on loud laugh, like,
And you're just like, oh, is this the same person or how? Oh my goodness. No, I get it. I get it. I get it, yo. Like my wife came from my throat at the kid's first birthday party because she was like, yo, so you was like real to yourself, real short or whatever when we were around my peeps. And then once you saw your brother, them, you was Mr. Cool. Oh my goodness, everybody here, how you doing? I'm like, what are you talking about? I was like, no, I'm gonna record you next time. I'm gonna record you. And I was like, I low key was gassing
Right.
her a little bit. She was like, no, I'm gonna record you. You're lying. You're just lying. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, bro. I'm always like this. I ain't never seen somebody so ready to throw a computer at me. And I'm like, why are you so angry? I'm just playing.
Right. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
even with that, right, do you feel as though some folks may like kind of battle with being introverted just because of maybe what's hurt them in the past? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, for sure. I have a really good friend, a couple of really good friends
Mm-hmm.
that, once
Mm-hmm.
again, when they're in crowds, they're just different people, but behind closed doors
Mm-hmm.
and when we're hanging out, which typically throws me off because if you're almost like two people, somewhat like with the
Uh-huh.
crowd, you're
Yep.
different, and then one on one, you're like, you know, the coolest person ever. And I'm like, well, the
Yeah.
world
Yeah.
needs to see and I wish sometimes that person would come out. But if people like shame you, and I'll say this about
Yeah.
one of my friends, she brings the light, but
Mm-hmm.
not everybody likes the
Mm-hmm.
light. Let's just put it that way.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way of
And
putting it.
never,
Yeah.
not everybody likes the upbeat, energized person, the outgoing
Mm-hmm.
person. They're just kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
calm down. Why are you like that? And
Yep.
really, if you do get around people like that, I found
Mm-hmm.
that it's really, they don't like attention to be
Oh no.
brought to them in public.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in public. So if you laugh
Mm-hmm.
loud, they're like, "Oh my gosh, calm down. It's too loud." It's and they get
Oh,
upset with
yo.
you and I'm like, "What's the problem?" Then it's like
Yep.
because now everybody's looking at us or they feel that everybody's looking at them. But
Yep.
I do
Yep.
know a couple of people as far as my friends and things that
Mm-hmm.
they've been hurt in the past. They've been extremely
Yeah.
hurt or
Yeah.
they've
Yeah.
been in relationships where people have told them, you're doing too much, you're too
Mm-hmm.
extra,
Mm-hmm.
nobody likes you,
Mm-hmm.
you're just too much,
Ah,
right?
man.
And so
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
don't really, they think that, oh, I'm too much, so I can't
Mm.
be like that out and about.
Yep.
So they've been hurt. They've been carrying on that hurt and
Yep.
that pain from that person, or almost
Mm-hmm.
like if somebody has hurt them really bad, like broke their heart, broke up with them, then it's hard for them to
Mm.
trust people again. And a lot of people don't see
Mm-hmm.
that that
Mm-hmm.
can affect their interactions with other people in
Mm-hmm.
public to the
Mm-hmm.
point where you're not
Yep.
giving any hugs to anybody,
Yep.
no type of friendly affection. You're just completely distant, sitting by yourself. You think nobody likes you, so you sit off to the side
Mm-hmm.
and you don't talk to
Yep.
anybody. And so it's like, wow,
Yep.
like, but that's not even the case. Some people are probably like, hey, I wonder what they're doing over there by themselves. I hope they're okay, but in
Yep.
your head, you're
Yep.
like,
Yep.
everybody hates me. And it's like, what?
That's
No,
it.
no,
That's
nobody
it. It's
hates
this
you.
internal battle
So,
in your head
yeah,
that no. If I do all this, they gonna hate me. Yeah, no, you want it.
right.
Like I think where I struggle sometimes with it too is like, hey, um, how do you be your full authentic self? Like I had a colleague in the past, that I caught on after a while, like people would act differently when they come around. And
Yeah.
so for me, I know a person feels that, right? Like
Mhm.
whether it's a certain level of paranoia or it's actual like truth, a person feels when the conversation changes when they come around, right? And the struggle
Yeah.
bus there is if a person feels that everyone else is comfortable in their own skin and they're never comfortable in theirs, right? Like what cracks me up sometimes is I'll tell people sometimes, hey, I am a introvert. No one believes me. And I'm like, no, I am. Right. And I switch it on Sunday mornings because my thing is I never want someone to feel that way, like they're not welcome or they're not seen. Yeah. And then when I get home, I'm like, okay, I just need like 5 minutes. Yeah. And then I'll be all right. But I know some folks whom they are genuinely fueled by being around people. Like the funniest thing in our marriage with me and my wife has been, I'm okay with being around people in like outward settings. It's difficult for me to be around big groups of people in my house all the time. Like if it's a Sunday thing, okay, cool. But if it's like every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, people gonna be here the whole time, and I'm like, oh, okay. Well, when do like they leave? Are they gonna be here all day, or do we meet them at a restaurant? Yeah. Oh, you're still here. Okay, cool. You're still here. And they're like, where you going? Yeah. I think I'm going upstairs because there's too many people in here. And it's so hard. Okay. No, you're good. You're good. Oh man, no, hard. I was gonna say that's interesting that you say that because my well, I won't say any names. But my peoples are like your that. Peoples. I'll say a lot of my peoples. But my northern, like a lot of people that I know from the north are kind of like that. Like, hey, let me know before you come over, right? Like text me, call me, or whatever. And in the South, it's different. And I almost want to say Southerners are more extroverted, or at least pushed to be extroverted. And Northerners are more introverted. And I feel, you see what I'm saying? They seem like it, only because it's like, hey, let me know when you're coming over. I can see that. Like, are we really friends? Yeah, like be prepped or whatever. Or... Why are you trying to be my friend? Like, yeah, if you say, in the South, you say hey to everybody. Like, hey, how's it going? Hey, man, what's going on? Good morning. Yeah, how's it going? Yeah. But in the North, if you say, hey, man, how's it going? Good morning. They're like, why are you talking to me? Like, just don't look at me. Yo. And if you stare at them, it's a fight. It's like, so we have a problem? I'm just trying to understand why you staring at me, bro. No, you're not lying. You are not lying. What cracks me up is I'm even learning in the South, there's different versions of Southern. So, because I'm the complete opposite of all that. I'm from Florida. Yeah. We just Florida. We kind of like Texas. We're not Southern. Not most of Florida. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, if you really think about it, we're not Southern. And so there'll be songs. Yeah, and that was the funniest thing growing up. We moved to Charleston, South Carolina. There were songs that they would sing in my home church, and they would just know because I was a worship leader. I knew the songs. And so, of course, the congregation would start the songs, and I'd be like, I don't know what you come to do. Watermelon, grapefruit. And they'd be like, what is he up there doing? I was like, I'm not Southern Black church. I'm sorry. I know y'all believe that I am. I know I can fool people, but I'm not. But I said that because when we moved to North Carolina, what got me was we moved to North Carolina, we would walk down the street. I done got used to South Carolina, Georgia. Southern hospitality. We would walk down the street. But that Southern hospitality was weird when it came to the opposite race. And we walk down the street and people would say, hey, how you doing? And I'd be like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, I promise I'm non-threatening. I promise I live around the corner. Hello. And they would just be speaking. And I'd be like, oh, North Carolina's different. Okay. Yeah. That's cool. They just want to conversate. I'm nervous. Is this some get out stuff? I just need to know Make sure my wife has my location. I need it pinned. I need my location pinned
Right.
because they not finna catch me
Right.
slipping.
360.
Not today, Satan. Mm-mm, mm-mm. Oh, but
Y'all ain't gonna get me with no
that's
tea.
y'all ain't gonna get me with no. Not today. Not today. I drink tea with honey. If ain't no honey here, I'm out. Ooh, but all that to say, yo, I think some people are able to kind of hybrid between the two, kind of similar for me for the sake of people. And I
Yeah.
think some people are energized by it. And there's a big difference. And I'm learning that. Like my wife is one of the
Mm.
ones who, if she hasn't had a group of people around her for a long period of time, like she feels like she's the kid locked in the house and everybody else is outside playing. Where me, I'm like, oh, this is
Yeah.
great. I've had some time to, work on my studies, catch up with my video games, take a
Yeah.
nap. The house is clean. And she's like, I've been in this house for 3 days. If I don't get out of here, I'm gonna blow something up. And I was like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
so sorry.
And
But you
and like,
even, yeah,
oh,
no, you
I
good.
was just gonna say, the crazy thing is I almost feel like I'm both as well.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of people, once again, they don't believe me because how
Uh-huh.
I am in public, right? And I
Yep.
do believe I'm an extrovert to a certain degree, but I do
Yeah.
have to go home to
Mm-hmm.
rejuvenate myself.
Charge. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
a
recharge.
lot.
Thank you. Recharge.
Yeah.
So,
No, I'm with you. I think I'm starting to wonder too if it changes over time. Like maybe you start off an introvert and then when you kind of find your people, do you naturally like have some extroverted tendencies? And then more or less, is it that when you've expensed all of that tendency to be extroverted because you're really excited to be around your people and you're energized around them, are you still tired later? You know, because I feel like that's
yeah.
me. Like I grew up in tent revivals, so my pops will have us like out here, throwing water on people and jumping on chairs. And then I see him when he get home, like, all right, I'm gonna go take a nap. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, cool. I thought I was going to the fish fry. Nah, they got to have the fish fry without me tonight, tomorrow, today, son. Like, oh, okay, cool, my bad.
Right. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man, but
Yeah.
what are some of those like dark sides of like introverted tendencies, just in which maybe happening because somebody had some past hurt that you maybe think of sometimes?
Oh, I will say, I'll say this for me. I
Mm.
did not know what it was like to be hurt until I was
Mm-hmm.
hurt. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And that pushed me into hurt and not an
Mm-hmm.
introvert, if that makes sense.
Okay,
So
okay,
not to, I think like, I mean, it was my past relationship probably 4 to 5 years ago,
sure,
but
sure.
it was my first time being hurt overall. Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
thinking I'm in love and all that
Of
stuff, or gonna get
course, of
married,
course.
woo, and
Yeah, yeah,
then
yeah.
then it all ended, and it
Mm-hmm.
was like I felt like my world ended as well, almost. So
Mm-hmm.
I closed myself off from my friends. Uh-oh,
Mm-hmm.
my computer trying to go down. But
You
I
still
closed
in there?
myself
You
off
all
from my
right?
friends,
Mm-hmm.
and I stopped going out in crowds
Mm-hmm.
because I felt very vulnerable, like I was going to cry in a minute.
Yeah.
So I didn't want no one to see my emotions. I didn't want
Mm-hmm.
people to question me,
Mm-hmm.
ask me how I was doing. Um, so I just closed myself off to the crowds. And even when I came out, I felt like I
Mm-hmm.
stopped hugging people, like even shaking a
Mm-hmm.
hand. I didn't
Yeah.
even want to do that. And plus, it was around the time of COVID too. Let's say
That'll
that.
also
But
throw you. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean that definitely built a wall for a lot of us,
Yeah.
COVID. But I began to see what it's like to be hurt and why some people are into hurt and not an actual introvert. Because I am an
hmm
extrovert. Like growing up, I was a high extrovert, but when I got
Yeah.
hurt, I understood what it was like to be an introvert, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. No, that
And
makes
so
sense. That makes sense.
I went on my journey of I knew what it was like to be an extrovert. So I knew I couldn't stay where I was at, meaning
hmm
uh, I knew I couldn't stay in my emotions and allow that to consume me, basically.
No, that makes
So
sense.
then I definitely had to begin to lean into the Lord, and my relationship
Yeah.
with Christ began to get stronger because of it, because it's
Yeah.
like you feel like nobody understands you, and
Yep.
nor do you understand what's going on internally.
Yep.
So you start to use coping mechanisms and things like that. I was always on social media. I'm gonna be honest with you, smoked a
hmm
lot of weed, unfortunately, and
Hey.
just
Okay.
really
Lord done redeemed you.
went down. He said, "Hey, went just really went down that dark hole where I was,
yeah.
consuming a lot of stuff that was just masking it, but not
Yeah.
curing it. Um,
hmm hmm
so, but God ripped me on out. He said, "Rip out the
That's
package.
it.
She been acting brand new."
No. Lord hit you with that Black Panther. Show them who you are. This is not you. Yo.
Right,
No,
right, right.
I think you
So
speak to a good
I
point
had to
though.
bust out with the Black Panther.
You speak to a good point, which is a lot of times folks cope with their experiences and it changes kind of their worldview and maybe even their view of themselves. And sometimes finding your way back is difficult,
Mm,
And also you
yeah,
speak to another
yeah,
point, which
yeah.
is sometimes folks struggle with like being their authentic selves anymore, but everyone desires to like be that. I think everyone can naturally have some extroverted tendencies when they're comfortable in their own skin, right? But when folks have kind of
Yeah,
made you feel
yeah.
like you're less than, you know what I mean? If folks make you feel less than, and then you feel like in order to fit in, I need to present this best self, you're going to struggle because that's not who you're naturally wired to
Right.
be. It kind of made me
Yeah,
think of a funny
yeah.
analogy with it, but like the Moana movie, because y'all that know me personally, I got 2 kids and Disney is always in our house. Unfortunately, love it, hate it, somewhere in
Yeah.
the middle. But the girl's
Yeah.
struggling the whole first
Right.
part of the movie. The girl's struggling because she wants to go out in the water and be a voyager, but her dad's like, nah, you gonna be the chief, and that's that. And so all ends up
Yeah.
happening is she dismisses that until she can't take it no more. You know, I think for
Yeah.
me personally, like I was a little bit on the other side of that, at least when I was younger, where I was naturally introverted because I didn't really want a whole bunch of people in my business, and I felt like that was the best way to do it growing up in the church, which um, and so I
Wow. Yeah.
see, yeah. Oh no, I was massively introverted growing up. I ain't even talk. My mom said when I got in college, she was like, I don't feel like I'm talking to the same person because you never talk this much. Not even just like talking about your feelings. I didn't talk at all. And so it was
Gosh.
wow. My God. It was
Wow.
wow. And then people who know me now, they're like,
Wow.
nah, I can't see it. I didn't talk at all. And so there was a moment when we had this student or kids choir or whatever, and they didn't know I could sing. My parents didn't know I could sing. My mom was running the choir, and she literally was like, "Hey, Shotty Shot, try to do this solo real quick." And I said, "Oh, okay." Ain't know nothing about it, but I like the song. I just closed my eyes, just like, I don't know, this sound good. And when I opened my eyes, everybody's mouth done dropped. I'm like, this can't be great. It did sound horrible.
Wait a
Oh
minute. Hold
gosh.
on. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Wait a minute. You can sing? You didn't even tell me that.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
no,
was
no, no. You did. You're
wow.
right. You're right. No, no, no. You did
I know
sing in
you know. Yeah,
Brazil. I'm
think
so
about it.
sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
think
yeah.
about
You're
it. Now
right.
you
You
good.
did
You
sing.
good.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah. I was
wild
like, wait a
though
minute. Yeah, you
because
did. Yeah.
uh-huh. But what got me is I noticed all of the other fellas that was nervous about singing was like, I'm gonna try. Shaw could do it, I could do it too. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh crap. So
Wow.
I picked that up as I got older. Cause I still wasn't doing all that talking back then, but I was like, oh, okay. Some of the stuff that
Mm.
we've been gifted with can help others to walk out their gifting.
Right.
So if you have it, you have a
Right.
responsibility
Exactly.
to use it, and if you don't use it, then
Yes.
you're really not using your gifting in a way that honors God. And so it's always been one of
Yeah.
those moments like when you know what I mean? What you got?
Mm.
I feel like you had a
Oh,
good 2 cent there.
oh, no, no. I think what you just brought up about your
Mm-hmm.
upbringing, because I was
Mm-hmm.
literally about to say something about that. I think it's also based off of how you were brought up. If you were pushed
Yeah.
to be outgoing, like speak when you're spoken
Yeah.
to, type of deal. And so it's
Mm-hmm.
like you
Mm-hmm.
have to speak, you're pushed to speak. And
Yeah.
see, on my side,
True.
I was always pushed to speak and
Yep.
smile and,
Yep.
be very respectful and that
Yep.
Southern
Yep.
hospitality type of deal. So
Mm-hmm.
now it's like almost an automatic. But as I was
Mm-hmm.
growing in my adulthood, I should say, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
wait a minute, who am I really? Am I like this because that's who I
Mm-hmm.
am? Or am I like this
Ooh.
because I was pushed to be like this growing up?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
No, that's it. That's
So I'm
good.
glad that you brought that up because that can also play a part. You can actually be an introvert, but
Mm-hmm.
since, say for instance, you're raised, uh, your parents are pastors or missionaries or just outgoing type
Yep.
of people, you're pushed to have to be an extrovert, even though you're an
Yeah,
introvert.
you
So
can
that
be.
makes sense.
That's it. That's it. No, you own it. You own it. And I think too, that's where, just like you were saying earlier, with being a naturally extrovert, but kind of because of experience, kind of moving into some introverted ways to kind of cope. You on the other end, naturally introvert, moving to it, maybe because of a positive influence, moving to realms of being an extrovert for the sake of others. You also have to kind of learn yourself enough to be like, man,
Mm,
um, for me, man, why am I so tired? This was a good day. Oh, I depleted a lot of my social fuel tank. Okay.
yeah,
I just need a few minutes. I'll be all
yeah.
right. Or on the other end, why am I so, jittery? Like, why I've been in the house, it's just been me all day. It might be, oh, my social tank is empty and I need to fuel it up. Okay, I need to get out this house. I need to
Yeah,
go hang out with others. I need to go, not necessarily, you can have a good time
yeah.
without it being, too worldly. But I need, that fuel tank added on in the other realm. And then one thing that we was bringing up when we were talking about the show notes that was really impactful for me, and I didn't catch it until corporate. When I worked corporate for about 8 years, I didn't realize sometimes we have to, whether we're extroverted or introverted, discern what rooms we need to kind of shift a little bit in and not necessarily start off by presenting our full self. Where like there was some rooms where I could be my natural, jokey,
Yeah.
quirky kind of self in corporate. And there were
Yeah.
some rooms I had to realize, man, I'm in the rooms with the bosses of bosses, or at least on my project. Shoot,
Yeah.
I need to have a certain
Yeah.
composure, even if they know me outside of this, so that it doesn't
Right.
lead to them
Right.
lacking my leadership capability. But what about on your side?
Yeah. Yeah, I would it's so funny because
Mm-hmm.
as a comedian, I'll go ahead and say that. Sometimes I'm kind of
Hey,
hesitant in saying that, but no, I'm getting more used to saying that. As a
yeah,
comedian, you have to read the room. Like you have to
yeah,
read the room. If people are laughing, you keep on bringing, will out your jokes a little
yep.
bit more. If people aren't really laughing, you might want to go ahead and
Yeah, sure.
wrap it on up.
Oh man,
You know,
like
like,
this ain't hit. Okay.
you know. Oh, these ain't my people. I need to go.
My bad. I read the room wrong. All right, all right.
No, but I'm
Yeah,
glad that you also said that because you also do have to discern the rooms that you're in, and that can.
yeah,
I know I had said this before. That can also play a part of being an introvert because
yeah.
you discern the heaviness in the room, like somebody is going through
Mm-hmm.
something emotionally, and
Yep.
that could possibly be why you're an introvert because you can
Mm-hmm.
feel the spiritual side of what's happening
Yep.
in the room, right?
Yep.
And so
Yep.
I noticed I was never really spiritually aware. Like it
Mm-hmm.
was almost like I was a little bit aware, but I didn't know why I would go over and talk to somebody. I would just be
Yeah.
like, oh, let me
Yeah.
go talk to that person in the corner over there. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
why I did that, but now I realized God was using me in that moment to go talk to
That's it.
somebody that was
That's
by
it.
themselves. And I was like, hey, how are you doing? Like, what's going
Mm-hmm.
on? And now just like looking over my whole entire life,
Mm-hmm.
I it's almost like I attract introverts to me for some reason. They flock to me and I'm like, what?
I love it. I
But
love
I'm
it. That's
okay
truth
with it.
right
And
there. That's true.
yeah, but the crazy thing is that I never really noticed, especially when I was growing up, I didn't really know people were introverts. First off, I didn't even know what an introvert was,
Yeah.
but they would
Yeah.
act
Yeah.
themselves.
Everybody in your house was an extra. Mm-hmm. I
Right,
get it.
right.
I get
But
it.
but I think also like because I am outgoing, um,
Mm-hmm.
or I just feel like I'm that type of person. Well, I guess the Lord blessed me with it, or whatever the case might be, whatever it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
I'm just
That's
that
it.
type of person that can
Claim
talk
that
to
thing.
whoever, whatever age group.
Mm-hmm.
I love
Mm-hmm.
culture.
Mm-hmm.
Some of that could be just based off of, our parents pushing us to talk. But
Probably. Probably.
yeah, you see what I'm saying? But
Mm-hmm.
people
Yeah.
typically are more open talking to me than they
Yeah.
are in front of crowds. So I was just like, wow. So anytime I would be one on one with somebody and be like, oh my gosh, yeah, they're
Mm-hmm.
so extroverted, like, we're cool. And then I'll go see them in the crowd and they're completely different. I'm like, what
Yep.
happened? Like, what's
Yep.
going on? Like,
They like
these
this is
are
a
two
lot. This
different
is a lot
people.
for my
Like,
spirit.
yeah, right. It's a lot, but I don't know what they could be sensing, and they may not.
Yeah.
Either it's hurt, either it's
Mm-hmm.
how they were raised,
Mm-hmm.
um, or either it's a spiritual thing where they sense what's happening. They're observing, they're
Yeah.
listening. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
always necessarily that the person is an introvert. Maybe they're just a good listener. They're looking at what's happening overall in the
Yep.
room, and they're
Yep.
trying to process who is who. They're trying to read the
Yep.
room. There we go. They're trying to read the room.
That's it.
And so,
No, and I
like I
think that's
said,
something
that can
that's
also
missed
play a
sometimes. You
factor.
you dead on it. Yeah. No, I think that's something that's
Yeah.
missed sometimes, and you're on it. Where I'm learning is this book I'm reading, and I will drop the name of the book in the show notes when I pick it back up because I don't want to misquote it. This book I'm reading about listening and understanding whether you're an extrovert or an introvert. understanding how to actively listen. Like the book was saying, basically, when we were younger, we learned to take turns in conversation, and as we got older, we started, whether it be from high school to college, to think I need to have a rebuttal and win the argument, to where now we don't actively listen. And even in the field that both of us study in our personal lives, understanding how to listen and discern what a person is really trying to say and what they even may be feeling internally in their spirit, man, which only is revealed to us through the Holy Spirit, right? Understanding how to do that is the only way we actually can serve them well. And when we don't do that, man, we're a disservice to them. And if they're an introverted person, we lose trust with them. And so it made me think of the scripture, and we can go ahead, land the plane with that is, hey, in 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 19, Paul, who I feel like I relate to a lot, he's saying to the Corinthian church, hey, though I am free and belong to no one, I have made myself a slave to everyone to win as many as possible. To the Jews, I became like a Jew to win the Jews. To those under the law, I became one under the law, though I myself am not under the law, so as to win those under the law. And to those not having the law, I became like one not having the law, meaning a Gentile, though I am not free from God's law, but I am under Christ's law. So as to win those not having the law, to the weak, I became weak, and to win the weak, I have become all things to all people, so that by all possible means I might save some. And this is the NIV version. I usually don't quote the NIV. I usually stick with the ESV. But the premise for Paul is, man, I want to be used by the Holy Spirit to win as many people to the gospel as possible. And so I'm willing to meet people where they're at. Whether I'm an introvert or I'm an extrovert, I'm willing to stretch myself to meet people where they're at. And I think sometimes that's got to be the goal. Right. Even if you done got some type of hurt behind it, that's got to be the goal. So any final thoughts or words of truth for our people so we get ready to land it?
Yeah, I know. I love that because, Jesus, he came down here to save us from our sins, right? And it's just like he sat with us at the table. Like he was just chilling out, hanging out. Of course, speaking the word of God to others, but he had to minimize himself into a human body for us to get it, to get the word, And it's just like he's almighty and all powerful, but he came down and sat at the table with us because that's how much he loves us and how much he wanted us to get the message, the gospel. Yeah.
So, as the pod comes to a close, remember, if this podcast episode or podcast as a whole has been a blessing to you in your personal life and just helped to open your mind and give you some revelation from the Lord about some different things, hey, do me a big favor. Like, share, follow, and subscribe to this podcast. If you do that, that helps us to get the word out about what the Lord is kind of letting us know from a standpoint of his word and just experience so that we can share that with other people. If you don't mind taking a few minutes just to like, share, subscribe, and follow this podcast, man, it'll be a big help. And then also, if you want some additional content or you want some awareness as to when the next episode is going to come out, join our Instagram community at Real God, the number 4, Real People. And it is called Preacher Man S. You can find it on Instagram and just help us to get the word out and kind of build this community of real people trying to pursue God in their everyday community. Man, I can't wait to chat about next week's pod and talk to you guys soon.